Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
Hi, I'm Gerard DePralta.
And I'm Kevin Day Peterson.
And I'm Ryan Benoit, and this is Serial Podcast 9, Summer Edition.
Summer Edition.
Man, you really couldn't be a drag racer. That reaction time was so bad.
Who, me? Yeah.
Yeah, you.
But I
Not
edited it,
me.
and then it's
Who?
always right on. It's so snappy. Everything's snappy.
Oh, you're
in
so
the edit.
quick-witted. You're so quick-witted.
Oh, yeah, I could take my time. I take my time to come up with my things, and you wouldn't even know. But I don't do that. I don't pull my punches, you know? I'm out here just swinging for the fences.
Well, there you go.
Well, here we are.
Living your best life.
Living our best life.
Happy
Speaking
birthday,
of
Ryan.
living,
It was Ryan's birthday yesterday.
it was.
Happy
Now-
birthday to you.
Hey,
Happy
Gerard.
birthday
Hey.
to you.
Hey, Gerard,
Happy
remember?
birthday, dear Ryan.
Happy belated
to
birthday,
you.
Brian.
Brian.
She knows. Nicole knows. Hey, Gerard, you know what my favorite part about all of that was I called you yesterday. We talked on the phone. I hung up. And then you clearly saw that you were tagged in a video that was wishing me a happy birthday, and that's when you and not even then. It wasn't even like you realized it was my birthday. You messaged me and were like, "Yo, is it your birthday today?" Like Kevin put up a story being like, "Go wish this guy a happy birthday," and all and then you thought it was an elaborate ruse, like we were tricking you into thinking it was my birthday when it wasn't. You did the same thing last year, so no.
Did I?
You forgot it was my birthday last year, and then you wished me a happy birthday the day after.
I feel for like
Well,
over the last year on the iPhone, if you message someone happy birthday, it's like, hey, do you want to put this in their thing that their birthday is on this
really?
day? Yeah. So I just always do that. So that's how I'm
gonna
Yeah.
message Ryan. Happy.
Don't happy birthday me the day
Birthday.
after.
you'll always be messaging him one day late now, forever.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
Siri found a birthday. July 5th.
You're a piece of shit. Also,
There you
it's
go.
because you put all those emojis on my Facebook, which I
Did you like them?
Anyway.
Did you read them?
Yeah, it was great.
Did you decipher them?
No, I didn't. I don't even know how. What does it say?
Bro, I don't know.
You're not
obviously can't
Egyptian?
figure it out.
You don't read hieroglyphics?
Yeah, sometimes I don't know if you're like doing a thing or if you're like having a stroke. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Speaking of living our best lives, Kevin,
gotta
what'd
work
you
it.
get up to? Oh, what are you saying? What did you?
Oh
say?
no, I was just like excited. We were having some technical difficulties before this, and I'm just excited that I'm able to be part of this. You know, got to work in. Yeah, I'm giving you a thumbs up, but you guys can't see me right now.
Yeah, your camera
Oh.
not working.
No camera for Kevin today. But
It's fine because nobody listening to this has
Nobody,
ever
yeah,
seen
exactly.
the video of us.
no,
It would be very shocking if they ever did. They'd be very confused. Hey, Kevin, what did you get
Yeah.
up to on your Canada Day long weekend?
I went to Capital D Driftcation in
Oh.
Penticton Speedway.
That's pretty great. How? And before we
what
start
now?
that, Gerard, what did you get up to this Canada Day long weekend?
Had some pizza at AJ's with a couple of friends, Eric,
AJ
and
Gillette's?
actually my realtor, which is really cool because he's dope. And then, anyways, so we went to AJ's, had 3 different types of pizzas. It was pretty good. It was very excessive. And then Saturday we did Canada Day in White Rock, so that was my first time there. It was all right. And then my son came home on Friday or Sunday, and we hung out. It was cool.
We can't do a podcast on any of that, so we'll go back to
No.
Kevin's weekend.
Sounds good.
How long ago? I was going to
dare
look
you.
this up. Yeah, how dare I? Gerard was all excited that he was going to get to talk about pizza, and then I took it
No.
away from him.
Well, he made a whole
No.
video about it, so he's.
I
probably pretty
did see
excited
his
to
whole
talk about it.
video about yeah. Yeah, I
Did
see
you
that.
use your gimbal? Did you gimbal
No.
the pizza?
No, I didn't. Gimbal.
Oh, I thought you were gimbaling for sure, buddy. I thought you just couldn't get enough gimbal in your life. So a few years, I feel like it must be a few years ago already. Last year? Year before?
I think
When
it was
did
a
we
few years.
lose?
I don't know what you're saying, but it was a few years ago.
He's talking about a few years ago we lost Penticton.
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to say, even a few years ago, we had Dave Vickers on the podcast about losing Penticton a few years ago.
That's the episode I'm talking about. No, we had him on as soon as it happened. I can look it up real quick. Yeah.
We don't
when
need
it happened.
No.
All right. Well, everyone was concerned. And then we thought maybe if you were a legitimate business, you could run an event there and it would be great. And then we thought maybe we should be the ones to do it. And we never did. But then guess what? Capital drifted it and it worked out great. It was
some
great.
way more legitimate people who have been running events forever.
Yeah.
We're able to do it. Exactly. And we thank them dearly for it.
Thank
yes.
you.
Now, if you can't tell, I also spent my Canada Day long weekend the same way Kevin did. I went to Penticton.
Be able to tell.
Yeah. Kevin and I ran into each other in Penticton. It was great.
Okay.
Oh, you're here?
Oh, you're here? Imagine that.
Yeah,
Not like we stayed at the same hotel and went and floated on the river and all that stuff. Got drunk at a Domino's and no big. Anyway, so we went, and it really begs the question because I feel like one of our pals that was with us, Dougie, said he was getting messages from people being like, "Yo, how is it? How is it? What's it like?" And I feel like we should field that question. Kevin, what was it like?
I wouldn't. In my opinion, it wasn't that dissimilar from DUIs in the past. Like, it was all mostly Canadians in Alberta, or all exclusively Canadians, Alberta. Maybe a Carter or two from Saskatchewan, but
I think you mean British Columbians.
No, I didn't see any Americans.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty big Canadian event. It feels like.
Yeah.
But yeah, the venue was slightly improved, so that was nice. The track surface was a little bit better than it normally was. Did
they redo it?
I think they've definitely redone it. Yeah. They the little jump or hump or whatever, that thing is gone. Yeah, it's just a much cleaner, more well taken care of environment.
Which then also falls on the drifters to maintain that. So at the end of the event, you saw most of the Cap DUI people out there that were and we did as well. We helped sweep and shovel up the tire remnants.
Dude, it was a preposterous amount. It was actually pretty eye-opening to be down there, making just pile and pile and pile of after rubber,
Yes, you never actually think about all of that. That you're going through tires when you drift, and a pedestrian to the sport would be oh, the tires you must go through, and you never really think about it. Now they're probably.
I wonder what percentage of the tire comes off as smoke versus comes off as just rubber pellets and pebbles.
Yeah. Also, what the fuck are we breathing in when we're done?
Oh yeah, anyway. No, I mean honestly, every time you leave a drift event, you blow your nose and it's just black.
Yeah.
I don't smoke,
anyway,
but I do drift.
Yeah. So that was interesting. It's interesting. So I felt like it was also a good event, but that it was very much still an island event, but an island event on the mainland. But that was kind of my takeaway.
What does that mean to you? Right?
I would say that in the past, I think there was more people from all over Western Canada that were there, and there still were, but I felt like predominantly it was a lot of island teams drifting, which is great. Island drivers drive hard and they are close and they, it's a whole thing. But traditionally that event has always felt like a melting pot. So yeah, you have the island, but then you have the mainland, then you have Alberta, and then you have the prairies. Sometimes in the past you get a few Americans that come up. Animal Style has been at DUI.
So what Albertans and prairie people are you calling out for not coming out then?
Curtis Goat, no, right off the top of my head, Curtis Goat always needs to be everywhere drifting.
Where's Mike Quinn?
That is a very
Mike Quinn.
It is a very DUI thing though. Curtis Goat has been at every DUI that I've ever been at.
Yeah, and his car is always rad as shit. Never does the same thing twice, and everything is always better than the last. And then
just like his BMW though.
Well, he's got a dope ass 100. So anyway.
Yeah.
Also, we're not here to talk about BMWs yet.
I'm just saying because Curtis Goat has probably multiple now, so like that, and he's a key player. So.
Okay, good.
Hey man, you got to be on the field to be a player.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, Mike Quinn. It would have been nice if Vickers came out just to hang out.
Yeah, that's weird. Vickers didn't come out, right?
Budgetary restraints. Yeah, well, he spent a lot of time and money in Japan. The Sask boys, aside from Carter, there wasn't a lot of like Saskies out there, which would be nice to see more of that.
Saskies.
What do you want to call them, Gerard?
I don't know, man. It's just a funny name.
Saskatchewanians.
Yeah, you want to do the longer way around? Good. So I did really enjoy the event. I think part of the reason why that event is so easy to enjoy is because like Penticton is just kind of like a cool place to go for a weekend.
For me, like DUI, like because that's what I was calling it then, and I probably still will call it, but I think the event was technically called Driftcation. Yeah, it's like about all those things, like being in Penticton, like throughout the entire time you're there, you're just seeing like a million drift cars driving around, like you're just driving your car around, like you know the beach is right there. There's two huge lakes. There's like a canal that you float between the lakes. It's like just a huge summer party town, and like just like a lot of fun to go there. And like there's a couple of routes to get there, and they're both like sick drives to get there. So it's like a super dope drive. Then you get to be in this fun like resort town party and do like 2 days of drifting.
Definitely super rad.
Yeah,
definitely super rad. Yeah,
and I feel like I got to do all those things. Like there were minor differences at the event than how it used to be run, but like I didn't foresee any of them really as a negative, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Like,
none of it is a negative.
There was like a giant cooler, like a 5x5 by like 3 foot deep cooler with like 20 or 30 bags of ice and like 20 or 30 like flats of water, and it was just like, yeah, come take the ice and the water as you need it or whatever, free for like all the people driving and in the pits and stuff. And like it was like a good event, you know.
It was a good event. Cap D, they really know how to run a good event. I think that's really can't drive that home enough that they do a good job with that.
So the only thing that you were like disappointed about was just like you didn't feel there was enough like distribution or like enough pull from other areas. Like I kind of get that.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is like I think that event was really well done and it was really good, but I don't think it's reached its full potential yet. I think a lot of people.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah,
because I have family and stuff in Penticton, and they were like, "Oh, like you know, we didn't see anything about this event coming up." So it didn't really seem like there was any pre-advertising trying to get people to come be spectators or anything or too much of that, you know.
Spectators.
Thanks for adding that, Gerard. I think that it has a lot of potential, and apparently the track is open to renting to people now, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I can tell you how I figured that out. Well, I have a funny story that goes with that, actually.
Why do you want to cut it out?
I don't know.
You can rent it? Because then you don't want to
rent it? Yeah, exactly. And then a bunch of fuckheads rent it, and then like it gets ruined or something, and then
right.
What's your funny story, Ryan?
I didn't say anything. No, I said right.
Gerard has. Oh, okay. So I was driving back, and I went the Merritt route,
where
you like go up, just like pretty much like straight up the mountain, and then over, and then down.
Yeah.
And and I got. I was like, I don't know if it was from like being out in the sun or the fact that we were out drinking the night before and then we went out in the sun, but like, anyway, we got a little bit wild, I think, on Sunday, if that's fair to say. Yes, Kevin? No? Yes? No? Mildly?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. I've never just gone into a Domino's and started drinking beer out of a paper bag. Anyway.
Well, now you have.
Now I have. Live a little. Learn a lot. Yeah. So I was driving the route.
Bring out your alter ego.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I gotta like pull over and like either like get out and stretch or like just like close my eyes for a few minutes because I like thought I was like nodding off. And I just picked a random like chain up area to pull over. And I drove into this parking lot and there was a bunch of like dudes from Kelowna up there with like S chassis and stuff that were drifting in a chain up area. Like they had pylons set up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a parking lot. Yeah. I was like, yo, this is like super rad. I was like, and like I'm in the Prius. I wasn't driving anything cool. I just like pulled up.
So you look like a nobody.
Yeah. I took a while
like,
to.
Fuck this like Grom.
Look at this
Yeah, they're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah,
he's gonna call the cops.
I started asking some questions, and then eventually we got to the, well, who are you and what do you do? And then
did they be like, yo, you're Ryan?
Well,
you're Ryan?
Yeah. So one of the dudes
Ryan?
eventually was like, one of the guys who's very nice, but he did say like, oh, I like recognize you from somewhere, but I don't know where. And then eventually I was like, hey, do you guys want photos? And they're like, yeah. And like I pulled out the big lens and they're like, oh, okay. Like who do you shoot for? And then I like explained all the things. And there's a few ISs and Altezas. So I was like, yo, do you know SerialNine? And they're like, yup. And I'm like, okay, well, those are my boys, kind of. And they're like, oh, how long have you worked for SerialNine? I'm like, hilariously, I don't work for SerialNine. I just act like I do. Yeah. So I up there doing the thing, took some photos, chatted with them, and then they were the ones that actually said like, oh yeah, they like talked to the track, and the track seems open to like renting out to people now. So they were hoping to do that. But I thought the whole thing was cool. It was a lot like, it was just like dudes getting their start at drifting. A few of them had maybe been doing it a little bit longer, but it was people like trying to figure it out. So like their cars weren't necessarily 100% set up for it, but they had like tools out there with them, and they were doing the thing. So it was pretty cool. Yeah. And I thought, wow, I'm glad that this is still happening. I was up there and I saw that and I chatted with them, and eventually they realized I wasn't a weirdo in a Prius, and chatted with them enough to be like, it's kind of cool to see like
I feel like if I was you and I showed up in that Prius, I would have been like, yo, man, pull up on that e-brake and power over.
Well, one of them was like, do a burnout on that. I'm like, no, we're not gonna do that. But yeah,
I'd be like, yo, I could do one in my fucking manual Aristo though.
I did explain after, and then they're like, oh, right. And I thought, yeah, it's pretty neat. But they said,
yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Nobody said that. They did say like, oh, I imagined this wasn't your actual car, and I was like, no, it's not. Yeah, although that one guy didn't like my car at the event. He was mad because he couldn't get his trailer out or something. Yeah, I don't know.
He double parked somebody.
Well, here's the tricky part, Kevin. I didn't double park someone.
Oh, was it me?
Yeah.
It's funny because I was out on track and like there was a bit of a kerfuffle, and like they were like, it's the media guy. It's one of the media guys. And I was like, oh shit, like, are they talking about Ryan's car? And I'm like, yo, are they talking about Ryan's car? It's a Prius? And they're like, no, it's a red S13. And I was like, oh, okay, well, like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the kerfuffles. Everything can just be solved with a conversation, I feel like, but whatever.
Yeah, you just gotta go find whoever's vehicle it is. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Carter told them whose it was. It was like, that's Ryan Benoit from Dota Logic. Yeah. And the guy's like, I should slash his tires. And Carter's like, why? Yeah. It's just like mild overreaction. But you know what they do? You know what they were driving, Gerard?
What?
A BMW.
Oh, busted.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I understand why that situation would be frustrating. However,
yeah, for sure.
It's not the end of the world. Like, it's not like I left the car up there and then like drove down the hill and caught a plane and took all the keys with me, It's like, yeah, there's a solution. There's usually a pretty quick solution to most problems. Anyway, yeah, back to it. It was cool just to like see I guess I forget sometimes what it's like to see like younger people coming up in the scene, learning how to do it, because like I was saying like, oh, did you get a ride along with Kevin? And they're like, oh, he was so busy I couldn't, and blah blah blah. And then someone was like, does he drive for a living? And I'm like, no, like Kevin is not a professional driver, just plays one on YouTube.
Yeah.
But you like forget, because like we go on Drift Week, we go to Final Bout, we do all these things, and you forget what it's like to see someone that's just actually trying to get it together, like do the thing that you were trying to do like 15 years ago, get tires, just get out and drive, go somewhere and do it. And I thought it was cool that they were doing it like essentially on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, like not bothering anybody. And yeah, it was just a really kind of like, it was a nice cherry on the top of the whole weekend.
No doubt.
So
I didn't know about that.
I took a bunch of photos, and I'm considering like writing an article about it, because I was like, this is really neat.
But then you're gonna beat out their fucking spot, and they're gonna kick your ass.
I don't know how you would be able to find it.
But people in the know might know.
I mean,
so basically what you're saying is you stumbled upon a sideshow and you're in love.
Yeah, I stumbled upon a sideshow. I couldn't find that spot if I tried now. I'd have to stop at
That's you, Ryan. Area. That's you, Ryan.
I'm a pretty smart guy, Gerard.
I'm not saying, I never said you were smart. I just said maybe with directions you are not.
I'm pretty good. I have a pretty good memory, and I have a pretty good sense of direction.
Okay.
You just get out of here. You're just saying things because you haven't spoke about BMWs in a while. Say something about BMWs, and then I know you'll relax.
No, we're good.
Okay, good. Number one question I got while I was there was, yo, where's Gerard? And I think I saw his blit.
That's so funny. No.
Yeah.
Wasn't my blit. Wasn't me.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much does that frustrate you when people post J-Lo's blit and tag you?
Scale of 1 to 10, like a fucking 1.
Really? I thought you'd be real revved up about it.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, like, fucking sweet. There's like 2 blits that get posted ever, and sometimes people mistake them because it's not like they're super common. But I mean, yeah, Jordan's like, yo, are they colorblind? Like, we have like vastly different wheels. I was like, yeah, man, but like,
yeah,
we're kind of stupid. Yeah.
But you change your wheels all the time, Gerard.
It's true, but I don't have gold ones.
You might in the future.
Hold on. There's somebody like ripping around on like motorbikes or.
Nice.
It's so fucking loud.
Well, we couldn't hear it at all. So.
Yeah, I also enjoy when you become like a concerned homeowner.
Yeah, he's like, who's that making a lot of noise driving aggressively?
I was in a ruckus in my neighborhood. That right's reserved for me. I pay property tax here.
Yeah, don't remind me. Property tax.
Yeah. So that was my takeaway from that weekend, I suppose. SerialNine had a team out there, which was kind of cool. Kevin, you can speak to that, I guess.
We did have a team. Like? The team was a little bit different than it was supposed to be. Obviously, Gerard was supposed to be there, and Cedric Scabar was supposed to be there, but both did not have 100% ready vehicles.
So who would not have been on your team if Gerard and Cedric were there?
Wyatt Kerner.
Right. But he's my favorite because he brought me the beer that I'm drinking right now. So shout out to Wyatt for being dope.
Yeah, Wyatt is definitely dope. He's definitely a grinder and a ripper and like a crazy devoted Toyota guy. I swear he has a Mark IV 80 Series Land Cruiser, JZX 100, X8 Cressida, T72 Corolla. I think he might even have something else too. Just a huge fleet of all the sickest Toyotas you just possibly have.
And he was like literally grinding away because he had to like grind up, like weld and grind parts together so he could keep driving. Like,
yeah, he's a little bit. It feels a bit younger, and like fully into it. Like Carter and Marvin Ryan, Dustin, everyone was just like, we would have just given up. Like we just been like, oh, my front suspension broke, and then I fixed it, and then the other side broke. I give up. Or maybe even on when the first side broke, you just give up. But like, he fixed both sides and then drove basically all the second day with no issues. So
yeah,
I was stoked to see him like actually get some seat time for all the effort he put in.
And then he packed up and drove back to Alberta that day.
Yeah.
And he said and then got up the next morning and went to work.
Gotta work, man.
Which is just wild. Yeah, for sure. But I was just like, oh man, we floated on a river, and then I got tired driving a Prius. I felt really bad complaining about anything. Anyway, Kevin, what was your favorite part of the weekend?
My favorite part of the weekend was probably be coming back from floating the canal and getting to drift as the sun set, and it felt like we were driving really good then. So when you drive really good with your friends and you're all so stoked and everyone's just so amped on each other and amped on what you just did, and whereas in the first session or whatever on Saturday morning, it was so hot and we had to be there early for the drivers meeting, and then they didn't really think my helmet passed tech, so then Ryan and I drove around town trying to find a helmet and basically couldn't find a helmet, and then I messaged Carter and was like, can you just find anyone there who will rent me a helmet? And he managed to do that. So then we just came back. But then, yeah, it was just really hot. I don't know, our driving wasn't the best in the morning or whatever, but getting to go drift and then go float on a tube through a natural body of water sort of, and then go drift again was a pretty sick experience,
Yeah, that was pretty rad. I do agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That was pretty cool to go do. People were really spent when we got back, and I was like, I feel pretty good about everything now.
Yeah, I'm feeling better than we did when I showed up this morning.
Yeah, that's fair. What was your favorite car at the event? That wasn't your car.
Carter's car.
Yeah, mine too. Carter's car just looks so fucking dope. I can't.
I feel Carter's car was the best looking car at the whole event.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, there's literally no other car like that car, and it's sick.
It's just it's the perfect amalgamation of all the things that probably all of us put together. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of reminded me of the Aristo a little bit. It's obviously a ton like an Altezza, and and then I don't know. It was just shit.
Yeah,
that thing looks so good, doing the things. And then his drift spares were the CE28s. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, I think that's.
Yeah, it's just people are why are those your drift spares?
Yeah, I don't even know he had those rims. I don't know when he got those.
I remember him saying I went to go pick them up, and I didn't even know what color they were. He bought them sight unseen, basically.
Yeah, the guy was there's a little, because the guy who had them, I think he was an FD guy, a RX-7, not Formula Drift, obviously. But was oh, there's a little nick in the lip, so if you don't want them, you don't have to buy them. And Carter, being Carter, he's I think we'll be okay, and I don't know, man. Carter's great. Just always trailering his shit, coming out here and driving. That's a guy that still has the spirit of what it's all about in my mind. So I'm always appreciative when we get to hang out with Carter and do shit.
Man, do that helmet though,
oh,
that helmet.
Carter's got the best SerialNine helmet. It's just
undeniably.
Just fucking rad. Lucas did that. He also listens to the podcast occasionally.
Nice.
So
I'll tell him shout out. Good job on that helmet. Looked rad.
Yeah, I might have to pay him to do a helmet in the near future.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lucas for doing Carter's helmet and making it look sick.
It felt like all of the hot boys had fender problems though. Coming off that bank into that infield, your car goes through some craziness. Carter buckled fenders, Mikey buckled fenders, Marvin buckled fenders, I buckled fenders.
Right.
No, there was very little incidents with cars hitting each other, but like a lot of fenders got wrecked.
That's the name of the game, I guess. Hey,
I mean,
I don't know. I don't actually know.
I feel like there's probably a way, like you set it up so that the tire never hits on the bump stop, and then. But yeah, I don't know.
That seems like a Gerard problem to fix.
That's what I mean. I feel like Gerard could make it where like your car is perfectly fitted and never hits like the fender ever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it'd be a little bit. You'd have to sacrifice something.
What I will say was my car has never buckled the fenders like it did at this event. Like it was like.
Yeah, I mean, I assume.
There was something crazier going on, like I think that transition off the bank onto the flat, like, it was just so violent.
Yeah.
I will also add though, as a side, Kevin's car looked amazing at the event.
Thanks.
He had the
Thanks,
new
bro.
livery on there.
Yeah,
You're back at an acceptable ride height, which was dope.
Yeah.
Really done with
exactly.
Drift Week ride height. Like, yeah. Pretty good. So I liked that. And then I liked that Wyatt's car. I kind of asked Kevin, I'm like, it reminded me, it was like obviously before I knew you guys, but like seeing that, I was like, yo, does that like remind you of like the good old days when you and Gerard used to drift stuff like that? Like, does it warm your heart? And Kevin was like, yeah, a little bit. Like, it's kind of cool to see that. Like, it still has like the traditional SerialNine sticker.
Yeah, he's got the big drip logo on the quarter panel, which is like reminiscent of like our style in 2010 or whatever, and like with the X8 Cressida, it's got the SerialNine fenders, got our arrow.
Yeah,
it basically
and then
I think has all of the things we make, and so does this 100.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that Marvin brought out just all of like City Tech Auto. Like he had a whole pit crew.
Yeah, Marvin literally had a whole pit crew. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought Mikey was driving with you guys, but he wasn't. But still, Mikey's car looked dope. And he was shredding. So it was all really cool. It was really cool to it was actually really cool to go to an event. And although, look, not all of the cars there tickle my fancy, it was cool that there was like a team that was very like, oh shit, like that's really, like, oh, it's SerialNine and they're all sedans and it's all really like cool to watch. And then like there were points where like Mikey went in and drove with you guys and it was just like, shit, this is like actually super cool to see. And I don't know if it was wasted on other people or not.
Drove a lot with Cameron.
Yeah.
Not
his car,
not a sedan, but like still cool.
But a 1J, right?
Yeah, 1J, BRZ, FRS. I don't know.
Hey, why do you guys know it's a 2J? It's a 2J.
Is it 2J?
Oh, it is a 2J. You're right.
Yeah, it's a 2J.
A 2J, FRS. Yeah. Yeah, his car is very easy to shoot for some reason. I guess because it's just like bright purple.
Because it's yellow wheels and it's bright purple.
Yeah, like the fines focus on it very, very easily.
I remember doing a tandem where it was Mikey, Cameron, Marvin, and I was like, this is like the full risk tandem. Like all four of these cars drove 4 hours to get here, and we're all about to initiate right now together, and hopefully nothing goes wrong.
And I feel like honestly though, like even if something were to go wrong there, it's like not a big deal. Like it's pretty close by, you know what I mean? And it's local.
Yeah, it's not over like an international
2 hours
border.
Away. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, exactly. It's not like, I feel like even though it's 4 hours away, it's still better to break down in Penticton than in like Washington. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'd probably rather break down, like have a catastrophic problem, in Penticton than Evergreen.
Yeah, and it's like
almost. I'd rather Penticton than like Victoria almost.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost.
The other thing too is it's along the main route of like travel that like, well, I mean not totally, but like it's sort of along the main route of travel from like a lot of our transporter friends. It wouldn't be too hard to bring the car back or
like it's not a big detour if you're driving to Calgary to hit Penticton.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was a great weekend. Really liked the event. I feel like I'm having that thing where like you have the come down off of like a great weekend.
Yeah, but the crash of like, well, regular life isn't as much fun as that. Anyway. Yeah.
That's a song by Bush X.
That's what it's called.
That Come Down thing, the song. It's a pretty cool song, old song.
Okay. Well, we haven't let Jerry talk for a long time. So, Gerard, what do you
I don't know
want to
what I'm
talk
talking
about?
Not much.
What grinds your gears? Actually, okay. Maybe we should answer this. Gerard, why didn't you? Yes, go, Kevin.
No. You ask.
Oh, I was gonna say
because mine's more of a follow up to what you're about to ask.
Okay, Gerard, why didn't you come to Penticton with us and live our lives? We could have all lived our lives in unison.
I don't know. Like we all had planned to go. We all had the Airbnb, and we all had like I was supposed to have a car. I could have brought this car. Well, I was supposed to bring the 100, which like could have probably gotten it done, but it's like we had this big huge rush to get the Blit done for Weekfest. Spent that weekend away. My son was away in UK and was coming back that weekend, and I was gonna basically have him for the weekend. I didn't really plan that out super well. It would have probably been okay, but also so I didn't finish the 100 because we didn't want to basically spend another straight 2 weeks to like finish the car for this event. And I thought, okay, well, I probably could have brought the Blit, but it's like, literally has like 10 degrees of camber all around, and it's finally finished and like really nice. So I was like, well, I don't want to bring the Blit because if something happens, it's just going to be like a bunch more money. And like, if we need it to look nice for anything, it's like not going to look nice because it'll have to get fixed again. And then we have this other Aristo that's kind of sitting outside, and I was like, well, I could have probably just brought that and like, put the welded diff in it and like, D for done or stick it first. It's automatic, but like, I don't know. I know my way around Aristos, and it probably would have been fine. But it was just a combination of like the Airbnb. I think it would have been fine, honestly. It wouldn't have been like the most enjoyable, but like it would have been, I would have got some seat time. I would have had some fun. I would have been up there. But it was just kind of a combination between like the Airbnb sort of falling through, my son coming back, and kind of I haven't seen him for like 2 weeks and stuff. So I was like, there's that. I didn't really have a car to drive that was like, viable. And then I don't know, like I wouldn't mind just sort of spending time chilling, at home like with the family and stuff. Cause like, not that like all my weekends are so busy, but like the last weekend we were away, and then not the last weekend, but like a couple weekends ago we were away. I don't know. And then yeah, I just sort of like.
You didn't have a car, buddy. That's basically what it like. I mean, if you would have had a car that was viable to drive, you would have been there.
I think so too. Yeah, it probably would have been fine.
Yeah,
but honestly, a big part of it was the Dominic coming home thing. I was just like, shit, I didn't really like think about that. Like he's been away for 2 weeks. He comes home, and I'm like not even home. Like it's kind of fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like we did have it planned already. Like I just didn't really like put 2 and 2 together that was the coinciding sort of weekend. It would have been fine because his mom probably would have wanted to keep him the whole weekend anyways. So anyways, yeah, it was probably mainly just the car.
Well, there you go. Kevin, you had a follow-up question.
I was going to say, so this was a slight bit of contention between us months and months ago, where I'm like, you're a fool for trying to build this whole new drift car by this day to get it done and change all these things on the Blit that, in my opinion, you didn't need to change. And you obviously concentrated and got the Blit done and didn't get to attend this event. Do you think that are you happy? Is that the right decision?
I don't know if it was the wrong decision.
Do you think you would have been happier if you like just left the Blit alone and just got the 100 running and were able to drive it and took the Blit in its old form?
No.
So then you're happy with your decision. That sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think the Blit for me is like a really big, kind of a big deal because like I have this thing where I sort of like fall out of love with my cars, and then.
Oh, really? I didn't know that about you.
Then I have to like, because I always want more. So then like, yeah, the Blit sort of like that whole, what do you call it, transformation has been like a long time coming. Like I've had those wheels for like almost a year, those MAEs. And then even with those other wheels that I used to have, the Works, which are, the Works. I like those wheels, but I just never thought it looked very like a gangster, I guess, if you will. It looked nice, and I built the car originally to be nice so that I could drive it, every day and not really worry about cops, which I did. I drove it, fucking who knows how long on the street, at least a year and a half, probably almost 2 years, in various shapes and configurations. I think for a good amount of time, it was actually pretty low on those Works and like loud and shit, so it was fine. But I was kind of over it, So I was like, well, I just really want the Blit to like actually work. I really want the Blit to like actually look good, and I really want to take it to the show and like have a weekend with my bros and like I love drifting and stuff too. But like that whole weekend we did in Seattle was honestly pretty rad too.
Yeah, no,
there's a lot of
good.
driving. There's a lot of, and I wouldn't have enjoyed that weekend as much if I didn't have the Blit the way it was. And also I missed Week Fest last year, and I really wanted to take the Blit last year.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
I needed to go back to that this year, and then so I missed Driftcation this year, and next year I'll go to Driftcation and probably Week Fest. So
here's I love your positivity on this, but now so next year if you go to Week Fest, you'll have to change something on the Blit.
I mean, I'm going to take the different car. I'm going to take the 100, right? Depending on what state it's in. Like if it's not like destroyed, I'll take. But I would want to take the Blit as well if that's even a possibility. Like.
Yeah. Now you need to hire a person to drive your car. Who would drive your car for you? Eric?
Probably Eric. But Eric will probably bring I guarantee. Like if we go next year, Eric will bring the 73. I mean, honestly, if we brought the 73, if we brought the 73 next year and then the 100. And like maybe Kevin's got the next car sort of done, that lineup would be pretty solid. Like I think at that point you're like a big contender for like the JDM, like people.
The made up
JDM people.
What's Kevin's next car?
That's a problem. Kevin never knows what he's doing. Yeah.
You got the K swap still.
Yeah.
That could go in the 18.
And also next year I'll have a third car.
Why you've already overcomplicated it?
No, man. I mean, I like cars. There's a lot of people that have a lot of cars.
Yeah, no, we all like cars. That's why we're here. But now you've overcomplicated. You're like now. So who's the third that's going to drive your car?
I don't know, my wife or something.
Would your wife to come to a car show for 10 hours?
To Week Fest and drive one of your lower cars? You would have your wife would drive a Gerard spec car?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, well now you're just writing checks, buddy. You're writing checks. He's got 3 cars. How many like SerialNine just becomes a crew with all the amount of cars that it has?
It's just Gerard. That's the whole crew.
Yeah, it's like
Gerard's gonna show up to fucking WECFest 2025 with 10 of his own cars.
Yeah, I just love cars, man. I just love cars.
Yeah, I had to pay all these people to drive them down.
Yeah. You can find the other SerialNine cars. They're scattered around the show, but I took all the booth spots because I'm Gerard. Anyway, what's the third car? The BMW?
Mm-hmm.
A BMW?
A BMW.
B BMW.
E91. An E91 335 twin turbo. Hopefully single turbo by then, but who knows?
Jesus, man, you're just printing money. I love this for you, but Jesus.
Right?
Great.
You're a car company.
Kevin,
you need to build cars,
I mean, yeah, but not. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You're your own thing. You know what you're doing. Kevin, you got another drift event coming up.
There's Villains on the 14th, 15th, 16th. I don't really know if I'm going to go to that. It's a bit of a drive. But I mean, maybe if Cedric's got his car dialed and he's all fucking gung-ho, maybe I'll go. I don't know. That's a bit of work. But then, yeah, Gerard's going away like the next week. And that is also when I'm supposed to go do 2 days at the Ridge. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Lone Star Drift event.
It is a Lone Star Drift.
That's weird. That's a weird connection. Lone Star Drift at the Ridge.
It is a weird connection,
Wow.
but I mean, hey.
That's how they're
Yeah,
a business buddy. That's how money gets made.
Whatever it gets me to be able to drive on that track.
Yeah. What dates is the Ridge?
The Ridge dates are July 22nd and 23rd.
Oh shit! Look at that. All right,
And yeah, the Villains is the 14th, 15th, and 16th, which is the previous weekend.
Jesus.
And this weekend is Spec D at Mission Speedway.
Oh, are you going out?
And last weekend was DUI.
Are you going out
It's
to
a
Mission?
jam-packed summer. I don't know. I've had a couple of people being like, "Hey man, you coming out? You coming out?" And I was like, "No." But now like the more people ask me, I'm like, "Oh, well, I know a lot of people going, and like maybe I don't know."
Right.
We're not doing the car. We're not doing the car show.
A lot of people going.
I mean driving. But yeah, I guess.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I assume pretty much everyone who's driving.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously some like Alberta people that you might not.
Yeah,
know
there's probably a huge amount of contingent of Alberta people. But yeah, like I know Tristan's going to come out with the
Laurel.
It's the SEMA. Oh, it's a Laurel. Yeah, it's obviously a Laurel.
Look at me knowing stuff.
Look at you Nissan man. So this question got asked over the weekend, and it was, do you miss any of your old cars or want them back?
Oh, that was a good question. Who asked that?
I don't know.
We had a conversation about it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Gerard, do you miss any of your old cars and do you want them back?
X8.
They had the yellow one?
I want it back.
You could get that car back. You could get that exact car back.
I mean, I don't want that car. I just want another X8.
Yeah.
Like if I could have I mean, it'd be cool.
Hey,
okay,
I was gonna say, do you miss that car or do you miss what it represents?
I mean, what do you mean?
Well, all right.
Well, now are you just inferring what it represents?
What does it represent?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time you were pioneering shit for that car. You were like the guy for that car. It was very much like probably not a ton of them out there that were done to that spec. Like it was, you were outstanding in your field, So
outstanding, buddy.
I would definitely say like far ahead of the curve.
So what that represents is like you being far ahead of the curve. If you had it now,
that's kind of literally what I'm still trying to do, though, right? Like,
well, yeah, no, I've met you, I know. But then, like, I could picture you having that car now and just hating everything about it because it'd be so old and like the turn throws would be off. Like the turn signals would be off, or the windows aren't fast enough. The doors.
The thing is with the X8, the X8 is grandfathered in, man. The X8 is like the king of like sort of like X chassis in my books. Like obviously not the king, but like it's like it is the like grandfather. There's nothing that can be wrong with an X8 in my world because it is the car. You know what I mean? It's the car that started it all.
What about 15s?
15 what? Crown?
No, like 15 inches. You said there's nothing that could be wrong with the X8.
I don't understand. 15-inch wheels? What do you saying?
No. It basically sounded like you're saying like you can do no wrong to the X8.
No. What I meant was like, yeah, I wouldn't hate the turn signals or I wouldn't hate the like this or that because like that car, like it's sort of like perfect, even though it's like not. It's obviously not.
I cannot perfect. Even. I'm so
upset. What I'm saying is, it's like because the X8 is like.
No, I know everything that you're saying there, but that's like a bullshit answer that I would give. It's so funny to hear you give an answer like that. Like, because you don't. You like, man, like you spend every fucking episode talking about BMWs as much as you can. And then all of a sudden you're saying that this like old car is perfect. And I'm not doubting for any other person that it would be, but it's like, sometimes I don't think you know. Yeah, sometimes I don't think you know who Gerard is. Gerard would be so frustrated. Gerard would want the newer thing.
That's what I'm saying No, but that's what I'm saying is the Cressida is exempt. It's exempt from all that.
Because it's got soul, buddy.
I'd have to see it to believe it. That's one of those things. And honestly, you're the only person I would ever call that on. Anyone else I would believe, but I've heard you pronounce or announce how you like finally love the Blit like 8 times. So that is why it's like I just can't wrap my head around with you. Like my head around you being seeing
an
anything
older,
as
shittier
exempt.
car. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, like Gerard doesn't exempt shit. That's the thing about Gerard is there's no exemptions with Gerard. There's no excuses.
That's why SerialNine's good.
Wait,
it has to be better. It always has to be better.
Hold on. But see, that's the thing is the X8 also came out in the golden era of Toyota, where like that car, a lot of aspects about that car are better than X9 and X10 and X11. Like the X8 is the fucking best, man. It is the best. It's the fucking strongest. It's got the biggest fucking hardware. It's got like the perfect size. There's so many things about it that are cool. But obviously, like just generally, like, oh yeah, it's an old car. You know, probably the seals leak and shit, like, whatever. But like I'm just saying, as far as that car's representation of, I don't know, like
somebody give my man his cars to prove me right. He would be over it so fast.
The yellow car is cool, man. Like the yellow car.
Okay, well, here's what I will say.
Yeah.
Is I recently was like really wanting to get an X8 because I never had an X8. I only ever had X7s. But then I was like, I'm going to get a right-hand drive X8, and it was going to cost me like $7,000 to $8,000 or more. And I was just like, for that amount of money, I can get so much more of some other vehicle that like it just didn't really make any sense. But like, yeah, that's now, you know.
I mean, that's the thing too. Is
and that was me wanting a right-hand drive one. I could probably find a left-hand drive for way cheaper.
I don't love them enough, or I guess what it is I don't like. I have so many other cars to fuck with, but if I had way more money and more time, 100% I would build an X8 again. I would build the X8 that I was gonna build my yellow car into, but never got a chance to because I had to sell it.
I guess moral of the story. You missed.
I would love to build another X7. You know.
Yeah, like X7s are cool too. It's just like they're like a totally different thing. Like you're not gonna build an X7 to be sick and then go, drifting. And I mean, you could obviously drift an X7. I'm just saying it's not gonna be as like not competitive, but like as what's the word? Competent as an X8. Like you could have a really sick looking X8 that was still
but I have like so many like X7 memories, and the way you probably have like a ton of X8.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that you shouldn't build an X7.
I feel like that's like it's the same sort of thing, It's like we're both willing to admit these cars aren't the most superior car, but it's like
And also at the same time, I've always wanted to build another X7 wagon. Like I want to build a late model right-hand drive like LG. Like from Japan.
You could get your wagon back easily.
Yeah, that guy's never gonna.
It's not going anywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Nothing's gonna happen with it.
He would just ask you for a ton of money for it. That's what he would do.
I don't know. For me, if I built an X7 like that, a wagon, it would have to be right-hand drive. But they're so expensive, man. It's like $15,000 for an X7 wagon. Like who the fuck's spending that? Like
if that's the car you love, then that's the car you love.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I love so many cars.
think about that in the Nissan world. If that was a Nissan, that car would be worth $60,000.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me then at that point. I guess have to build a Honda one of these days, so that's
I mean, they're going to be worth fucking infinity money soon. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it might be too late for one.
I want to build another Honda, so that's like. The X7s and shit are gonna have to wait.
I guess I just have a hard time marrying the idea of Gerard the futurist with Gerard the nostalgic, and I don't.
Well, that would be. That would be the extent of it. You know what I mean?
I just don't see you as a nostalgic person. I guess. You're always getting on. You're always getting on me for like. You're like, man, you're just like a one lane guy. Like I love all the things, and you're like, you're just in your Toyota lane.
You should ask my wife.
This isn't a podcast about me, you, and your wife and Kevin. This is about a podcast with the three of us.
I know. What I'm saying is she would be like, oh, he's the most nostalgic. Like, the most.
But then you're not, because you come on here and then you shit on me and Kevin for being nostalgic.
But you guys aren't nostalgic. You guys just, like, don't do anything new.
Because we love the old things so much. No, it's not.
No, but nostalgia is
married
like
to
previous.
a time
Nostalgia
and a
is
place.
previous.
Yes, Gerard, we're married to a time and a place that no longer exists. We are chasing a feeling of something of old. We refuse to embrace modernity.
I don't know if that's nostalgia. That's just
it absolutely is. It's because we believe that, like, I don't want to speak for Kevin. That's very poor of me to say.
I'm just sitting back here fucking taking all these insults in, but whatever.
Yeah.
How's that an insult?
What did I say?
You said we never any do anything new.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how long you had that car?
Hey, you ever get drunk in a Domino's pizza? Fuck you. We do new things all the time.
You ever driven your car fucking 8,000 kilometers and gone to 12 different events? Like,
nope, I have not.
Yeah.
We out here living new. We fucking brand new.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, the experience, I guess, is new. You're right on that. I'm just talking about the cars. I thought we were talking about building cars.
I know we are. We're just being
so.
Petty now because you're saying hurtful things.
Yeah. No one can spend money like you, George. You're right.
I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna latch myself on to the next idea that you had. No, I think that to do what we do, there's a giant form of nostalgia. We feel that, and I don't just mean me and Kevin. I mean that.
I almost feel like all drifting is nostalgia, but like obviously not for those kids that like you met.
No, but they were drifting S chassis, and I was like, yo, that's weird. And the one guy was like, yeah, I put an SR, like an NA SR S15, like out of an S15 in my S13. I painted the car myself. Yeah, and I was like, that's fucking wild. Like when I got up there was a G35 and a BMW, and the BMW wasn't working properly or something. And then
surprise.
But the S chassis were fine, and I was like, "Where did you guys get S chassis?" Like, and then I was like,
and
"Also,
like, how do you know what S chassis means?"
Yeah, well, let me tell you. No, and I was just like, "Aren't these wildly expensive now?" And he's like, "Oh, I bought a shell and I built it," and I was like, "Man, that's fucking rad." But
that's
there's that nostalgia idea there too. But they're chasing a nostalgia of probably a time that they never really even knew. Yeah, like that's on the that's good. Like S13s at this point have to be on like the 4th or 5th like come up of like, how's a 20-something-year-old now going to be like, man, I love an S13. But it's all tied to this nostalgia of this time and a place that existed in Japanese car culture that's been highly publicized that we all identify with. Gerard, you embrace modernity because you're like, I'm going to get a BMW. I'm going to do this. I just want to drive all the cars. I want to drive as many cars as possible. Whereas like, I'm happy to just drive Toyotas from a certain era. And then like, I will slowly creep forward into the idea of like, ooh, but what about an ISF? Like I'll creep forward into a thing, but it's always like years behind, and still a little bit like tied to a glory days of Japanese car culture. Like ISF is still,
and that's what Brad was saying. That like we just do the same shit over and over again.
But new things, new things on the old shit.
Perfect example. I'm building an X100. I'm building one. That's a fully nostalgic car. That's a car that like I used to want so bad, and then I just never was like. Well, like when I was first into when I was into like like Dory Tans and the options and stuff, I would look at like that one fucking black Mark II with the staggered wheels and this and that and the BN hood, and I was like, that's like a fucking sick ass car. Like I don't know. I guess I have this weird thing where it's like I never, how people like sort of they have a dream car and then they go and get a dream car. Or try to build it or try to achieve it. I was never like that. I just like looked at that. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then just like kind of build a bunch of other shit. But like maybe now it's sort of like I'm getting the 100 to kind of build that. Not that it's like a fucking dream car, but like
Yeah, here's the thing though.
it's
I wish I
my
could
modern
pull
take
up-
on an X8, you know?
That's exactly what I was about to say. I wish I could pull this up because, like, you've already said it's your modern take on an X8. So already you've done away with the nostalgia of the X8 and you have a modern take on the old thing. So that's why I think it's hard for me to believe. Because I would.
It also has to do with the company, though. It's like
Yeah.
I'm at the cusp of like getting rid of every car I own because none of them make sense for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So what car would you get that makes sense for the company?
I don't know. Like, and that's sort of the problem.
Yeah, right. So far, I feel like the Altezza makes a ton of sense for the company.
We developed every single part there is to develop on that car.
Yeah,
10
but
years
now
ago.
you're out there just like fucking driving events and people are taking, like they're noticing more and more. There is a big time off of like 2 years.
I don't think it's enough.
Well, I know you don't think it's enough, but
yeah,
like,
but that's a business statement. It's not like, oh, like Kevin's car is cool because it's pink and he drives it lots. Like that's.
But that's exactly
it's
it.
the same
it's
car
exactly
for like
cool.
8 years.
But it isn't. The livery's changed. The hood's changed. You're looking at it
come on,
from
man.
your like fucking
Like,
no. You're looking at it from
you-
your 95% ivory tower. The thing is that his car is still cool because when we go to events, people will be like, "Yo, I've seen this on Instagram, and now I'm seeing you here doing this." And Kevin's shit is cool because he's not just like. This is going to sound like a slight, and I don't mean it to. So I apologize in advance. He's not just like building a thing and then like letting it sit. He's out there driving it across country and doing a thing. Kevin's car is cool because he does the thing. And Kevin's car is so wildly Kevin that like it just makes sense. Like it's this car on like 3 spokes and it's lower and it's got the overs. It's pink. It's got the the livery on it right now. It's got this like pretty.
That's what I mean.
Gerard just wants me to like do more to it. He's like, yo, your car should have a body kit. Your car should have a fucking wing. Your car should,
It should have 500 horsepower.
It should have 500 horsepower.
Yeah,
yeah, but
dude, if it has
more shit for my friend Kevin to run into a wall with.
I can't drive it to events.
Why the fuck couldn't you? Why
because
not?
then I need twice as many tires as I can bring in the car.
I mean, listen, Jordan, you're not wrong there, but like
Kevin's got a good thing going. Don't you fuck this up?
Then I can't drive with all my other homies. It's like if my car was twice as powerful, I'm blowing the doors. I can't drive with Carter or Marvin or Mikey or Cameron.
Yeah,
I can drive with you.
True.
I could drive with you.
Yeah, but I never drive anyways, so.
Well, you will.
Yeah, and that's what maybe.
I will.
Maybe when the 100 is done, then I'll be fully like, yeah, let's make this fucking thing 500 horsepower, and we.
But yeah, I guess for me
also,
that's
hang on,
pretty.
Time out. I want to go back to this because now I'm all riled up. I've been to enough events with Kevin to know that like when people see Kevin's car or when it gets there, his car. And I'm going to say this because this is me and I'm a media person and I'm always assessing this. His car's always at an event, usually like pretty much in the top 5 to 10%. We go to Spirit Peaks, people are like jazzed. One, because they've never seen the car at that track. And then, so it's like if you've never heard of SerialNine and you see that car, you're like, that's fucking sick. And then if you have heard of SerialNine and you've never seen that car, it's fucking sick. And then if you have heard of SerialNine and you have seen that car, then you probably know Kevin. And then you're just fucking have to see Kevin and talk to Kevin about Kevin shit. So like I think like it still is a pretty like solid calling card. Whereas like, look, Gerard, you're gonna do Gerard things and I can appreciate that. I obviously your Blit is rad, it looks rad. I also think it looked rad on the old wheels, but who am I to fucking say? I'm not a 95%er like my boy Gerard.
Like, okay, can we agree?
Don't mess with Kevin's flow on this shit.
Can we agree that the Blit leveled up? Like the Blit today is significantly different.
I'm happy that you're happy. I'm happy that you're happy.
No, it definitely looks crazier for sure.
Yeah, like it looks crazy. Yes, but I wasn't mad at the old Blit. Like I don't know, but I
that's
get
what
it.
I'm saying. If you didn't see the new Blit, you would. You know what I mean? Like
I ain't trying
There's
to fuck with
always
your
something
flow
you
either,
were-
you know?
What?
I was like,
You're
I said,
trying to
don't
what?
fuck with. I said, don't fuck with Kevin's flow, but I'm also not trying to fuck with your flow. Like, you're you, and that's what makes you you. Like,
Yeah,
you're the guy
exactly.
that's like,
I wasn't
Man.
trying to. Okay, like here, like we'll call a throwback here.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to say before that like you made the wrong decision or blah 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 blah. I was just
No. I
genuinely,
didn't think you were. I
genuinely
don't think you
curious
were.
if you thought that like if you were happy changing the blit and not getting to drive versus not changing the blit, still getting to go to the show, but then also getting to drive. You know?
yeah. Now I'll say my thing, whereas like, I would be more happy. I would have been more happy if the Blitz stayed the same, and then I got to hang out with you in Penticton. You know, like I would have been just as like that would have been. Yeah, your
I
car
feel like me
looked
too,
dope.
but
Yeah,
I'm,
like, and that's
I'm
just
happy.
so
I'm happy
appreciate
that
you guys.
I'm happy that Gerard.
You know, like
was happy.
I'm happy that you're happy that your car looks dope. I'm sad that I don't get to like go do
Spend more
rad
time
shit
with
with you. Yeah, like spend more time with you and do dumb shit in Penticton. So
I mean,
that's
I-
my
I-
thing. Like
Hey,
I spend a
so-
ton of time with Kevin and it's great, but like I'd also like to spend a ton of time with Gerard, you know?
Yeah,
But
man,
I get it. You're a
get that,
grown
and
ass man.
I appreciate you guys, feeling that feeling towards me. I really, it's very heartwarming.
And I think
it's
that's what
awesome.
everybody else wanted. It was like, where's
No,
Gerard?
I agree, it's just a bit difficult. Like I got three kids, man.
What
You know
I
what I mean?
would what I said was like Gerard didn't want to come if he couldn't drive, and I feel like every other driver was like, okay, yeah, I get that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is kind of a thing. I mean, the thing with the Blit too, though, is like I do want to drive that car. Like I do want to drift that car. The only thing is right now, obviously, its setup isn't really like for drifting.
Yeah, it's not.
And I kind of need to do. For me, like now it's finally done and it's finally pretty and nice. I kind of want to do like sort of like what's the word? Not solidify, but like
Cement?
take this cement, yeah, like cement this beautiful image of this car.
This is where I put
with-
the ad for Carter Jackson's cement company in right now in
With-
the middle of the podcast.
Great. cement the car like all nice and pretty and like it's beautiful height and 10 degrees of camber and wheel fitment, all this shit, and then I can go and fuck it up. You know what I mean? It's like it takes a lot of work to get to the level of the Blit. In my opinion, the Blit's like pretty nice. It's not perfect, but like there's a fucking lot of shit I did to it to get it to where it is.
I know. People said, why didn't he just drive the Blit? And I was like, no, that car's not for that right now. He's got a 100.
But I mean, honestly, like I could have, like that would have been the most gangster move ever.
Right.
I would have had to put the old wheels on it and like take out the camber, but like that would have been
Yeah.
a lot easier than building an entire fucking car.
Here's the thing. You could have done that. I will say this. I feel like you could have done that and gotten away with it because like Carter actually said, to quote Carter, I made the point of driving with the homies. Like
Yeah.
usually you go to an event and everyone's like scattered. They're like, and then I went out and then
Yeah.
I'm going out now. But it's like, no, Kevin's going out. I'm going out. Like,
Yeah.
and make
Yeah,
sure
we
Marvin's out there.
Pretty
like,
consistently only like kind of went out with the homies and then like
Well, I mean, I feel like the last couple events was basically that. I mean,
well that was just it. Like we didn't drive in the big entry contest. None of Team Serial 9 drove in the big entry contest. Mikey
or the
drove,
like team or
and
the
we
tandem.
didn't and we didn't drive in the team tandem contest at all.
How come?
Because we went. That was when we went and floated and came back and drove later. Because also because like Carter was like, I don't really care, and Marvin was also sort of like, well, I don't really care, and I think Wyatt's car was still fucked up, and I was like, well, I also don't really care.
And also like
cool.
to be honest, not in like a rude way, but like, what are the chances that you're gonna like beat Husky anyway? You know, like I don't know.
Yeah, or D's nuts or whatever, or Deluxe
or Deluxe, or like you're not gonna
Unite
beat an
or
island
what- yeah,
team
no,
at
I
their
know,
game.
Yeah.
You know what you will win at is just fucking looking dope when all you drive together.
Yeah, exactly. We know our lane and we stay in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
our lane
exactly.
our lane is not being 1 inch from each other with 5 cars. It's
Yeah.
like being 5 feet
Fucking
from each
looking-
other with dope cars.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway.
I can agree with that. But yeah,
So yeah,
I
you
do.
probably could have driven the Blit somewhat safely, like almost.
Yeah.
But I also respect your decision not to, and I understood why you did it.
Yeah,
Like
there were
for
times
a
like
business
when
perspective, made sense. Go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say there were times where like people would just hop in, and like there was when my tire blew out or whatever, my tire debeated, my front right tire debeated right as I initiated on the bank, and I braked and went up the bank. The third car in the line wasn't one of our homies, and he nearly hit me and Wyatt, who was right behind me. So
Yeah. I mean,
like,
every time you drive, I imagine it's a gamble. So
every time you drive, it's a gamble. But yeah, if it's only your homies, it feels like less of a gamble.
Exactly. And if you do hit them, it's like, it was kind of cool anyways.
Yeah, like Carter and Marvin like traded paint. Like there was absolutely no action. You know, it looked like you could probably polish
buff
I
it out.
did
buff him
see
out.
that,
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
that was it. That was the only. Mikey and Cameron, I think, hit twice, but sort of like the same thing. It was like you couldn't really tell looking at either car. So like,
Yeah.
kind of perfect scenarios, if you will.
As a side, I'm just going to toss this out here. I wish Carter lived in Vancouver with us, but
Yeah,
doesn't
that'd
matter.
be cool.
Yeah. Even in Calgary.
Yeah, somewhere just a little bit closer. So how we got on this was, do you miss one of your old cars? Is there any car that you've owned that you've missed? And Gerard said one, and then I just refused to believe him. And then that's how we got to where we are. Kevin, is there a car that you've owned that you miss?
I miss like all of my cars, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I right now could have an 8.6 and a TE and an X7 and a UCF 20 and the Altezza and the 17 and 18 Crown, I fully would be down.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Which one do you miss the most? Which one would you want back the most?
I feel like maybe like T72 sedan, and the UCF 20 Celsior.
Yes.
Those would be the two.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of pining for that feeling of when I bought the Celsior and I just got this car that was like way more car than I should ever own for an amount of money that wasn't so ridiculous. You know?
Yeah, okay, I get it. Like the value of having a car that was probably once like $80,000 or more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And now you'd go buy a new Celsior or whatever, and it'd be like, this was $120,000 car that I've acquired for $8,000 or less.
I've been looking at LS 460s a lot. USF 40.
One thing I was gonna say, like, you say, do I miss any of my other cars? And I would say, yeah, I miss my EK. My EK was fucking sick. I miss my Capri. I miss my Cortina. Like those really old cars that I had. Those were fucking sick. Like if I had my Cortina today, I think that'd be pretty cool. If I had my EK.
Which one would you take before you go through all of these cars? Because you've lived forever and had a lot of cars. Which one? I also feel okay saying that because yesterday, what are you? You were like, what are you, 40? I'm like, no, Gerard. You're just guessing. Of all the cars you've owned, which is the one that you'd want back the most then? Of all
like
things
out of all my cars?
Yeah.
And like, would it be just like basically I just get the exact same car I used to have back?
Yes. Yeah.
Shit, eh? Probably say the X8, man.
Shit.
Like with the 1.5J, the GetDrag, the HKS clutch, the 1819 Varianzas, the yellow paint, and the Aero, like that car, 100% just like exactly as it was back, I'd take that for sure. If I could pay, let's say if I could pay like 20 or 30 grand for that car to be exactly as it was, like when I had it, I would do that.
Wow.
I don't have that money. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If I had the money, I'd pay 30 grand to have that car back.
Wow. okay.
But it would have to
Cool.
be, because that's the thing is when I sold it, it didn't have any of that shit anymore. Like I sold the tranny separate, like, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it
You
basically
parted
like
it.
parted it out. But like if I could just press rewind and like the car when it came to the shop to Serial 9 back, like when it was from our old house and it came back, even on the MAEs, I would have just, that car right there, just in, like sort of cemented in history with the yellow paint and shit. That would be the one.
There's no way you could build it for 30 grand though.
No, fuck no. Couldn't even buy that transmission. Like, I wouldn't want to put a CD in that car. I would want it to be the exact, like the V160 that I had in there, the 1.5J.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna edit that part out.
Why? Great trend.
People want to like get drag, bro.
Yeah.
The tunnel's so small.
Because
the tunnel's tiny.
And so that's the thing with that car with the get drag is part of that like romantic nostalgia, if you will, was because that car was 100% Toyota. Like that's like the creme de la creme of what you possibly could have done. And even with the HKS like GD Pro clutch and everything, like everything was from that era. But it was like the nice, like it's like you took a Supra engine and transmission and clutch, like you took all this like hot, like the creme de la creme Toyota shit and then chucked into this crappy Cressida, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's to me what made it so fucking cool. Like nobody had a 6-speed Cressida. Like I swear even today fucking people don't have 6-speed Cressidas.
Yeah,
like
that makes
maybe
sense.
There's like 5, you know what I mean, in the world. But like,
all right, so you take the Cressida. All right. Yeah, okay, I'd say it. That makes sense.
And it works so well. It was such a good car.
Oof. Actually, this is really funny. Someone messaged me like a week and a half ago being like, hey, did you used to own this car? And it was my S13. I was like, yep. And they're like, do you have any like photos of it? When you, I'm going to tell everyone the full story because it's really funny. Like, do you have any like photos of it of when you used to own it? And I'm like, oh, buddy. Of course I do. Yeah, if you only knew. And I'm like, here's an article about it when I sold it. Here's like it at doing this. Here's it at the track when I tried to drift it.
Sorry, this like, is man, was your
my 180.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the 180 is the only car that I've owned that I would ever want back. I don't need my MX3. I don't need my Celsior. I don't need any of my other dailies. It's the 180. Like I feel like if I had that car, even in its current state, I would try to hold on to it forever and then just slowly build it over time. The only thing that is regrettable about that car is at some point in the lineage of it being owned, someone wanted to put a VQ in it instead of take the SR out of it that was in it and put a VQ in it. And so they like sold this SR, which I would have preferred to have the SR.
That's interesting.
Yeah, now it has an RB in it, I think. But I'd want the SR. That's what I'd want. Or a 1J, but probably the SR would be fine. But yeah, he reached out and was like, yo, do you have any photos? I was like, absolutely. He said, do you know the history of the car? And I was like, sure do. I was the one that imported it. It was the first one in Saskatchewan. He's like, yo, how do you know that? And it's like, I'm the one that had to go to the insurance place and be like, hey, this is a 180SX and get them to type it into the system so that it would exist. And then everyone after me could do it. And he's like, oh, I've never had a car that I've known the entire lineage of. And I was like, yeah, like all these things about it. And I even said, like, if you ever want to get rid of it, I don't know how I would ever do it, but I'd be like, I will have that car from you. And that's because I feel like I left it in like a very dismal state. And I wish I would have not. I wish I would have like done. I think I got like cheap and lazy at the end because it was like I was tired of. I would take it to the track.
You fell out of love with it.
I didn't fall out of love with it. It was just like I kept banging the car up and I didn't have money to like paint it properly. So like I did my own paint job on it and like
really
it was a paint job. I thought, yeah, but it was like kind of like that satin olive green color, which wasn't the best. Like the paint turned out fine for like it did exactly I did all the body work. It turned out the way that I like thought it did. But then about 3 weeks in, I was like, oh man, I really did that. And I don't know if I should have. But yeah, I would go back and I would probably get like the Shine Auto kit or whatever it is, and maybe overs and do all the things properly to have that car. I don't know if I'd love it as much, but like the nostalgia value of that car, I would appreciate. The chance to do an S chassis well would be interesting. The funny part of that was like, oh, like, so the guy was like, so like, are you still into cars now? And I was like, oh, here's what I drive. This is what I do. And then I like told him about the podcast, and he like started listening to it, which was cool. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Hello, guy who has Ryan's 180.
Yeah. Hello. Hope you hear this episode and know you have something that means a lot to me, which was great.
Yo, can I have the old car back, the Aristo? I'm just kidding.
I had to like field a question about your Aristo, and I thought it was really funny. Dylan and Alex were at like a checkpoint. Were being like, I want to know how Gerard really feels about the Aristo, and I'm like, he hates it. Like he hates Aristos. And they're like, no, but like I feel like he'd have his Aristo back. I'm like, yeah, he maybe, but like he doesn't really like them. Like I think he liked the idea that he could drive that car and drift it, but he doesn't miss Aristos. And it's like, oh, but like maybe he does. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. He like always shits. He's like, he always kind of just shits on my car. And they're like, yeah, but he's like, but it's Gerard. Maybe like, maybe he's like flip flopping a bit on it, because I think like Alex listened to a few of the podcasts and was like, oh, Gerard changes his mind a lot. Anyway, there you go. I don't know. I was having to answer that. I do think that is true. I don't think you miss the Aristo at all. But then, it's because Dylan said he's been at the shop, and you're like, he's like, Gerard will be like, man, I miss the Aristo, and I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't like actually mean that.
I don't think I've ever said that, to be honest.
Gerard, you said
I miss the Aristo.
I'm sure you said it with an accent or something at some point.
Man,
or maybe you said like that, or maybe you were like, that car was cool. But that doesn't mean you miss it. It just is like,
it was cool.
There you go.
But do you miss it?
Honestly, the iteration I missed the most was with the fucking Yankees and the black stickers. It looked so cool on the Yankees. I thought it was like, oh wow, like finally it looks sporty, like kind of how your car like looks sporty. And then obviously on the Veil sides it looked fucking sick and stuff, but it just didn't look as like fresh and like
it went back to being like epic or whatever, you know what I mean?
Sorry?
I said I feel like it went back to being like epic.
Yeah.
Like I do know what you mean. On the Yankees it looked like sporting.
Yeah, it looked
but like
cool versus like epic. Exactly what you're saying. Yeah, those Yankees were cool.
Yeah.
I really like those
anyway,
guys.
It would be nice to have my S13 back.
That'd be cool.
But also, then he was like, "What do you drive now?" And I was like, "Well, the Aristo is
that's cool.
It's cooler than most, in my mind, it's cooler than my S13 was. So I'm fine with that. I can live with that. Living with it every day, Hey, what else do we got going on in our lives?
Yeah, just contemplating my whole existence in life,
Are you?
Yeah, well, I'm just like, why do I have the Altezza when we've had it for so long and there's nothing really more we're going to develop on it? And then I have the 17, which has all the exact same suspension as the Altezza. And then I have another 17, which, that is the same. And then I have the 18, but it's like, well, we have this employee who's like way more devoted to the 18 Crown than I am. And like, so
shout out to Cody, Big Poop Crown.
Yeah, buddy. So any parts we want to develop and test, we can definitely do on his car. We don't really need my car for that. So it's like, well, then I don't really need the 18 Crown either. So it's like, I'm like, I could just get rid of all of my cars and get some new cars.
That I still think that the 180.
But I'm like, it would be sick. It would be sick to drive the 17 with with Carter, and then we both had 17 crowns. That'd be cool.
The 17 would be the perfect final bout car.
So I'm also kind of thinking like the Altezza is like a bit too much because it's pink and so loud, and it's like, well, maybe if I could make, the Altezza is a bit too much because it's pink and so loud, and I'm like, if I could like make the 17 like a little bit more subdued,
street car,
like
maybe.
Yeah, I mean the Blitz pretty loud now.
Yeah, the Blitz
visually, wild. Yeah, like maybe slightly less camber. That's the thing.
I would say,
I could drive. I'd feel comfortable driving the Altezza on the street in Langley or something, but just not into Vancouver.
I was saying I was going to say the Altezza is like I know this isn't the right term, and then we've had a follow-up conversation. I was going to say it's the pit vipers of your personality.
Yeah.
Which isn't, you don't own pit vipers, I get it. But anyway, it's like the fluorescent loudness of Kevin.
Yeah.
Where like the 17 could be your like street car, like subtle, clean
That's
car.
what I mean. It's like if I could have the Altezza, which is the 17, drive it around all the time, but then also take it to these events and drive it as hard as I can, then I feel like I should just do that.
Yeah. But the Altezza's not doing anything bad right now.
No.
The Altezza's a good
I have no
car.
reason to really get rid of it.
It just, yeah.
You were going to say it takes space? I was going to say...
No. I wasn't going to say it takes space at all.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, because if I had another car that I needed to keep inside of the shop, like there's not room for it at this moment.
Yeah. So maybe the 18 makes the least amount of sense.
But I mean the 18. But I mean also I don't know, like I mean I don't see this happening, but I mean like you never know what's going on with your employees' lives or whatever, and like
sure,
maybe he could be like, hey, I'm moving to Europe, or like, hey, like I found a job that pays me 3 times as much, and I'm gonna go take that job. Like those are definitely possibilities that could happen.
Do you wish that you would have? Man, there's a lot. Like, do you wish that you would have got the 18 with like a better engine in it, or are you happy with the engine that you got in it?
I'm fine with the engine that's in it, because if I'm like to develop the suspension and all of that stuff, it doesn't need to have the best engine. It can have any
Disagree.
engine. And then if I'm going to make it into a drift car, I'm going to pull out that motor and transmission anyway. So then it probably makes more sense than not to be the best engine.
You know what would be like the funniest, weirdest shit if it was like the same issue that Gerard had with the Blit? It was like the shittiest engine in the 18 has like the weird, like shitty suspension setup, like all the and you're like, oh fuck. Yeah, it's just like, oh, they did it on this car too. And you have to like go get all this shit out of like.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, the reason why it's like kind of important, but I mean, I know that you don't really think it's important, and also like maybe the car was cheap and you kind of already have it, whatever. But like, obviously, like the best car is the best car. You know what I mean? Like you got the 2GR, it's the top of the line, or like at least like as far as the powertrain is concerned, it's the top of the line. So then it's kind of just more of like a, what's the word? Significant car, if you will. It's kind of like, when we see those Aristos in Japan and they're so sick, but then they're NA, you're like really? Like,
ooh, yeah. You
know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I guess it still looks cool, you know what I mean? But then it's like, what's the word? It's like a sandwich with like fucking shitty meat in it instead of just being like a good ass sandwich, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'll eat it. It's like fine.
It ain't got no fucking Dijon in it. It's got regular mustard.
Exactly.
It's got mayo on aioli.
Yeah, I get it, but like also like lots of times like you see those sick ass Aristos or Crowns, and like you don't know that they're like that until way later. You know what I mean? Because the car's. But
it's almost like
sick.
faking the funk. You know what I mean? Like.
But I mean, like my plan always was to like do that, and then like
put the
swap in the JZ or the K series and make it a drift car. So it was like it didn't really matter, but.
Right. What is the likelihood of the 18 becoming a drift car?
For me, if I was just like like, this is what I want to do, that's what I want to do. But like, does it really make sense for the company? Probably not so much.
What makes the most sense for the company?
To not keep these cars that we've developed the parts for, get cars that we don't.
BMW.
Don't make Kevin get a BMW, please. I mean,
I would
he can if he
honestly
wants.
like. I would
know you
probably either. I'd probably like. It's so stupid because it doesn't make any sense. But I'd probably rather get like an FRS or like a UCF 30 or an LS 460. But like, it feels like they go down. You know what I mean? It feels like the FRS maybe is like the most in our market, and also the UCF 30. Yeah,
I think the UCF 30 is probably.
I feel like all of the Altezza. I feel like the Altezza is like very akin to the FRS. The same people, the same type of people are buying them to do the same things. And if we made all the diff bushings and all the arms for the FRS, I think we'd be selling a gajillion of them.
The thing with that car to me is like, you could just fucking sponsor any fucking FRS guy with all that shit. Like, there's enough FRS guys around.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you're not wrong.
Okay,
but we also know that like, you sponsor someone and they like sell the car. They sponsor someone and they don't finish the car. You sponsor someone and their wife divorces them. You sponsor someone. I'm saying is, you know.
I guess what I'm saying is,
but okay, you're right. At this point, we don't need to build any car. We just sponsor anyone. We don't need to build any Blitz or anything. You know, you don't need the 100.
I mean, that's not true, because
you just sponsor.
If you were to choose from the sea of FRSs, you could definitely handpick some really, really fucking sick ones.
Couldn't you just take like Marcus?
But couldn't you just like handpick a really sick 100 and sponsor him?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could.
But no, you need the car for development parts.
But you didn't. You said Blit, so you said Blit,
but no, you can't just sponsor a car. It's that you need the car to be there, don't you, to do all the like fitting and stuff.
I mean, yes.
I love how. I
guess what I'm saying is, because I don't know how much you love an FRS, like you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, I don't love the Altezza.
Just loves the color of money.
I just love drifting.
I still stand by. Here's what I think: the Altezza should never be sold. It should be retired. Just this dumb fucking thing.
It's a fucking waste. Yeah, it's a waste of fucking time.
Shut up, Gerard. I'm talking. No, listen to me.
Can I retire it in your parking garage at your apartment?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
And like, we don't have enough money to be retiring cars. It's like literally like.
Hear me out. I didn't finish my goddamn sentence. You're beating up half of an equation right now. What I'm saying is, you fucking put it. You move it back a little bit. It's not on the spotlight. Give it a little breaky break. Put it out to pasture, to stud, you know? And then every once in a while, you bring it out. And then it's a fucking deal, because Kevin's bringing out the Altezza. You know, then there's hype around it. Gerard's making faces because he doesn't. Fuck, if I was saying this about any of Gerard's cars, you'd be fucking amped on him.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
You'd be like, yeah, you're right. I should bring up.
Man. I just like, the shit has to move forward, like with or without.
So many people are into ISs right now. Like, that connects the dots so easily. I'm just saying like, that car still makes sense. I mean, like, fuck.
Yeah, but Gerard's saying the car's the same. That's what I think he means by move forward.
Yeah. What I would say is, instead of retiring it, revamp it. Like, don't.
So maybe that's what you mean. Put it on the back burner and revamp it while you're doing something.
Well, I mean, how would that work? Put it on the back burner. Like, why don't you just put it on the front burner and fucking revamp it?
Because then you can.
Because now all of a sudden you've brought the 17 to the limelight, and that's the focus.
Yeah, and then it's one of those things. It's like Screm. Whenever Screm brings out his car, Gerard, you get fucking amped. And like, Screm's car hasn't.
That's a perfect example, man. Why do I get amped on Screm's car? It's not because it's a fucking S13. Sick. Yeah, because it's fucking sick. Screm's car is like next level sick.
Kevin's car.
Kevin's car is not like level sick. It's like average sick. It's sick because it's Kevin's car. It's sick because it's a fucking.
You're just fucking too close to the fire, buddy. You see
I will say this though. Like, I know what Gerard means. My car is like in the
wanna
49th
hear any of it.
percentile of like sick
I don't want to hear
ISs.
any of this shit. Nah, I don't want to hear this shit.
Okay, Ryan.
Y'all being wild. Y'all sitting too close to the fire. You don't know.
Fine.
I do
And
agree.
especially
Like,
Kevin should have the Altezza, not an Altezza. It should be the Altezza. The
Yeah,
king
but
of
also,
So
like,
Altezzas.
no, but then you
but I
can't
can't
have
like
the
not
Altezza.
constantly destroy it, so it needs to not.
It doesn't
be
matter.
Like
You
who
still- you're
even
still-
has the Altezza? That's like saying like you have the S chassis. It's even so hard to have that.
There could be
It's a
some.
car.
There's some really nice.
I feel like it's
S-chassis.
harder. I feel like it's harder to say you have the S chassis than the
Yeah.
Altezza.
Well, I would have said Revgasm has the S chassis.
What I'm saying, Kevin, is I'm not saying it has to be like the nicest. I'm just saying it has to be the like. You're still smashing up the same fucking over fenders. You're still smashing up the same fucking
I'd say-
fenders. You're still smashing up the same bumpers. You might as well be
I think
smashing
we
up
should
nicer,
just take
different
the-
bumpers.
Let's just
Or
take the
nicer,
talk of the
different wide body.
Altezza off
But
the table.
the nicer different bumpers are more prone to damage.
Yeah.
They're not the OEM rubber that's flexible and like can take a beating. You know, if I did that to if I did that to fiberglass shit, then I can't even drive home. Like,
you can drive home with no bumper.
Gerard, do you want me to find the episode where you talk about OEM Plus is the best?
Where do I put the bumper?
I don't know, man. What I'm saying is that those are the sacrifices of being the fucking king. You know what I mean? Like that would be if you wanted to have the car, you would have to make those sacrifices in order to have.
I don't think it's about having the car though. Like I think it's just about.
But that's because you don't. That's not who you're not running a company that needs to be at the forefront of those.
They
cars.
have. I don't know if you know this, but you have a guy that is the king. But what you have with like
dumbass.
But I don't have
you.
I don't
Listen,
have
you
the like,
big
relatable
dummy,
car.
You're doing that. There's no such thing.
Yeah,
as
but
two
I
kings.
have the car that has all of the suspension parts that drives all the way across the country that drifts all the time, but maybe doesn't have the craziest body kit, but it's still crazy looking.
Yeah, like
I'm not saying it's not crazy looking. I'm just saying
a calling card. It is like I think, like I said, you just pull it out of the limelight for a bit. Kevin can fucking build a street 17 Crown and drive that, and that'll be fucking dope. And then every once in a while, when there's like,
will it be dope, or is it going to have the same
it
fucking
will.
whack ass fenders that every other 17 has?
I don't know, man.
Can't really put big wheels on it. That's what I'm saying. Is you have to fucking push the envelope.
But you're out there being the 90. He is pushing the envelope. It's just not the envelope that you're fucking sending in the mail, you know? Like you're trying to put all this fucking postage on your mail. Kevin's got his own envelope. Don't worry about Kevin's envelope. You got your envelope. You're dealing with that. You got bubble wrap on your envelope. It's great. It's a great envelope. Kevin's envelope's got all the stamps on it because it's been all over the place. It gets rerouted to sender and shit, and it's great. It's doing its own thing.
Yeah, my envelope's fucked up. Been all over the world,
but it's it's like fucking it's seen some shit. It's great. I'm just saying you take that out, do the 17. I don't even. Yeah. Anyway, Gerard, you're always looking at shit through your 95%, and it's fine. I love that for you, but like Kevin's cars are still accessible. Like I get what you're saying from your perspective, but I do also think you're like sitting a little too close to the fire because like I go places and objectively watch people get very excited about Kevin's stuff. I'm not going to tell anyone how to run a business.
Another small slight question. It's like, would you be okay if the 100 or the Blit took 1 or 4 months longer because I'm buying a bunch of parts for my car right now or at the same time? You know?
I mean, the Blit's pretty much done. It doesn't need really anything.
I know, but I mean like, you know, in the past you've been like, you should get a wide, you know, you should change the fenders on the Altezza, you should have a body kit. And it's like, if I would have bought those things, maybe we wouldn't have been able to build the Blit as quickly, or the car that you're trying to build right now is going to take another 9 months instead of 4 months, or another 12 months instead of 6 months.
But the thing is, it's most of the parts are already purchased. There's not a whole lot that car needs as far as monetary, like.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, roll back a year from now, like, so your next project, your fucking BMW that you're building, or the third car.
I mean, I don't.
So now that car, there's no chance in that car being done for WECFest or the following year or anything, you know. But yeah,
I mean,
anyway.
like a lot of the Blit beginning part was done with my own money. The serial line took over the Blit like after I sort of did the swap and all that other shit, right? So yeah, like a lot of those parts were my own. Just like I assume this BMW is not being built by fucking Serial 9. It's going to be like primarily Gerard, because like I know that if I were to come to the company and be like, oh yeah, like hey, I want to build this like ridiculous BMW wagon, you just be like, yeah, I mean, we don't really have the money for that. Like it's not really known that that's viable. We don't really, you know, all these things. Or I can just fucking build it myself and just be like, yo, this is a sick car that I'm going to build because I really like these cars. And then Serial 9 can pay half or a little bit or whatever, you know what I mean? Just because it is related to the company. It is.
Yeah, which is exactly what I did
shit.
with the K series.
Yeah, it's like, but yeah, I mean, I think your car should have more shit on it. I don't think you spend enough money on your car, if that's what you're asking me. I don't think Serial 9 pays for enough shit on that car. Or like,
but like now, what if you add like the event fees and the tires and shit? You know what I mean?
I mean, that is a lot of money. You're right. That is definitely a lot of money.
Kevin's doing the Lord's work. You're both doing the Lord's work.
I'm saying I'm spending my money going and driving the event, and Gerard's spending his money like building the cars.
Yeah. You are two different people doing two different things. And then it almost feels like, not entirely, that each of you are asking the other person to do the other person's thing, which
a bit more
which isn't really what makes Serial 9 Serial 9. You know, it's like
that's why I asked. You know, that's sort of why I wanted to know like if Gerard was happy like changing his car and going to the car show versus driving, and he was like, yeah, I'm genuinely that was like the right decision for me.
It was the play,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love building cars. I love looking at nice cars. I love driving cool cars. I love, you know, and yeah, I love drifting, but like drifting to me is not maybe as important as for Kevin or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you were like, hey, you can't change your car at all if you want to go drifting and do 10 events or something next year, I would be probably okay with that. And then if it was,
but okay, you also have to realize that like you have the absolute freedom to go do 10 events. I don't. Even if I wanted to do 10 events and I had the money to do 10 events and I had the car to do 10 events, I fucking probably couldn't even do 5 events. You know what I mean? Like I got family, fucking house, wife, the whole 9 yards. And it's like for me to take one weekend off entirely and like my wife has to like do everything around the house for fucking 3-4 days straight. And then you multiply that by like 5, 6, 7, events, 10 weekends a year. It's like that's
don't make me feel bad about my choices, Gerard.
Well, I mean that's your choice, man. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, I can't really do that right now. Like maybe in the future, like next year, I sort of assume that I'm bringing the entire family to Penticton, which would be fucking rad. Because like I think it's cool when all the family comes to drift events. But like until I have
it's gonna be real weird when we are all at Domino's drunk though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean I don't totally do that anyway. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
joking.
But until I have that setup where I can like bring the fucking truck with the trailer and the fucking car and like have the Airbnb for my family and all this other shit, like I'm certainly not leaving for fucking a week and a half on a, you know what I mean? Like it's just difficult. Sure. So for me to build a car and drive it for one weekend or drive it around on the street all the time is way fucking more like, I guess, satisfying
or tangible.
Yeah, that makes all the sense. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
I do want to drive the Blit. It's just the other thing too now is like I have to drive my daughter to daycare every morning, and it's like the Blit is pretty fucking crazy right now. And it's like, maybe that's not the car I want to drive my daughter to daycare in. Not that it's like unsafe or something, but it's like, it was already fucking crazy before. And now it's just like, it's fucked. Like last time I pulled up into the parking lot there, I was getting some real weird looks. They're just like they've already seen me in like 4 different cars. And now I show up in this like, even like more ridiculous, like, what would you even think of that thing if you didn't know about cars? You know what I mean? Like,
did you take her there once with it in the new?
Yeah, like I took it when I brought it back from.
Yeah, the day you brought it. home from
Yeah.
Blackfest without going back to the shop, and then the next day.
Yeah, I
would think you were the
picked her up.
goddamn king.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
like
you feel
here
like
comes
it.
the king. I
The
mean, like
wagon king.
I drove June to school in the Arista once, and nobody like fucking flinched.
I mean, I used to
Whatever,
drop her
it
off
feels-
every single day in the Blit in North Surrey, and then also in South Surrey, I dropped her off every single day.
I just feel like
It's
you of all
fine,
people should be used to like people being like, "What the fuck is that shit?"
No, that's fine. It's just like obviously there's a little part of
There's a little part of you that wants to be the regular fucking guy with the
that wants
regular
to be like the
impressive stuff.
sensible
regular guy.
You want to be the
safe-
regular guy that has the Patagonia that and the fucking
And the
whatever the
Vessies.
rain the
No. I want to be the
so people
regular
know
guy
you're like
in the
in a
Porsche
Porsche.
Cayenne or the Porsche.
Yeah,
like,
no, I
or
know.
the
That's what I was
BMW M
getting.
car.
That's what I was getting at. You want to be the traditional Vancouver person,
Rich car
Oh,
guy.
sorry.
rich car guy, which like is actually kind of mind blowing to me because like nothing about you says that. If I was a psychiatrist, I would dive into this, but I'm not, so I won't. Because
It's like a deep
I
dive.
agree. Yeah, I get what you mean. Sometimes I wonder, like, should I be a more sensible person? But
Right?
and then, but
You can't
and then
help
I'm
who you
asking my
are.
kid, asking my kid if other dads are like I am. She's like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, all
I
right.
don't know. I only have one.
I get what you're saying, Gerard. I get what you're saying. But man, you are the way the good Lord made you, and you just gotta fucking stunt on people all the time. You gotta be out there stunting. You can't be stunting on people in a BMW. Nobody will get it. You gotta have that
I don't-
obscure shit. You gotta have that thing where people are like, yo, what the fuck is that? And who's that guy wearing the camo pants? And anyway, what the fuck were we even talking about? Oh yeah, yeah. I think all I was trying to say was just like bring the Altezza out for like special occasions. That's what I was trying to get at, and then we got all like fucking riled up about shit. Let Kevin build another thing like the 17, and then that should be a final bout car. As I said, broken record. There's still a lot of ISs out there in the world that are probably looking for inspiration, and like people that are like I said, I was up on that mountain and there were people that just got into the IS, and it's like, oh shit, you got that car, you want to do all these things, like, well, guess what? There was a fucking wild Altezza at that event on the weekend, and it's like whatever that guy's running, maybe that's what I want to run, or maybe I want to do what that guy does. And
Were those guys
So,
at the event?
yes, they were.
Nice.
It sucks though
and,
that
like,
it's an out. It sucks though that it's an. I mean, it's both. It sucks and it's cool, but like it sucks that it's an Altezza because like people are just like, oh, that's a cool IS, and you're like, well, not really, but sure. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes, we get it.
yeah,
Doesn't bother
same
me at
thing.
all.
It's like, yeah.
Oh,
It's just like
I
it's
don't
not.
care.
It's not.
That's
like the
that's
Crown.
why it's the more relatable car, and that's why the Crown is the final bout car.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crown's special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that requires an
Extra level of
explanation.
knowledge.
But like having
But
a car
okay,
that
so like,
appeases-
here's what I was thinking. Here's kind of what I was thinking. So you know how I always had this thing where it's like, yeah, like the Blit and like the Stagia and all these fucking weird ass cars that I'm into, like they're too much. They're too far.
Yeah.
People don't. But if you had a fucking gang of them, people would then just be like, yo, what the fuck are those? I think if you have like sporadically like one or two little like weird ass fucking cars, it's not enough pull to be like I want that. You know what I mean? Like kind of like you said, like, once Hurt or once Samet or once one of these dudes gets these like fucking cars, it starts to gain traction and like people really want to know about it. You know what I mean? I feel like right now with the sort of amount that I've been posting the Blit, a lot of more people are like, oh, that's cool. I don't know what that is, but like that's really cool. You know what I mean? But like, I feel like if you had like your entire fucking crew was just ridiculous and crazy, then I think that would be like a
but
an
then there's no
alternative.
like I don't know. I think there's different ways to look at that. I think there's also the like.
But I feel like if the crew is bigger, there's always going to be a guy who has an IS anyways. You You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we don't have it right now. I'm just saying, like, once the shit sort of grew, you're always going to have the people that have the regular cars and the people that want to build them to the level that they should be built to be a serial 9
You
car.
need the car that people know to like get them over there, and then you need the oh shit, but what is that? Because if it's always
I get that.
and oh shit, what is that? It's like
I feel like the
I don't
oh
want to
shit,
go
what is
over.
that is what actually gets you over there, no?
Ah,
I mean, that's the thing.
It depends on the person,
if it's
right?
compelling
It's
enough, right? Like, if you have
but it's also like what's relatable, you know? And
Like,
look, and what I'm saying is fucking self-serving because I drive a 16, and like people will come talk to me about GSs all the time because like they are familiar with it, and so it's like this example of a thing that they appreciate and they understand, and that's like if you're a salesman and you're opening the door, they've maybe opened the door, but they haven't unlatched the chain, you know? And then you get like you get the Altezza, and maybe they've taken the chain off, but they're not opening the door. You get the Crown, like you get Cody's car, and people are like, yo, shit, I kind of know what that is. And they're like ready to really get into it. But like the Blit is so fucking far out there that like if you just had a bunch of Blitz, it might be like overwhelmingly obscure, you know? If you had all the obscure is too
5
much.
Blitz, it might be just too much.
Or even like a Varro, like it just.
My example is great example is Carter's car. Carter's car, like if Carter was driving your 17, do you think it would have had the same amount of like impact as his 17?
No, my 17's bust.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like Carter's car is weird. It's cool and new and like whatever, but it's also like a very good example of that car. Like it's pretty well done. It like looks pretty sick. It's adequately low. The exhaust, sounds
Carter.
cool and shit. Exactly.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna say
Carter?
this. Hang on.
Because it's Kevin. Kevin's car has to look busted. No, like you know what I mean. Like I don't.
Yeah, because Carter drives one event every 2 years.
Well, he drives
and has one car, so he can make it look good for that one event. Like,
yeah, he drives like one big event a year. But here's the thing: we like Carter's car. I don't know as a whole how Carter's car hit at that event. You talked to everyone that was at that event.
No, I'm just saying, if I post Carter's car up, people like Carter's car. People are always like, yo, that fucking thing is sick. That's crazy. He's throwing down. Like, I can't believe he's driving that car. Like, there.
But
like,
if I post Carter's car, I think Kevin's car still does better. Or, like, and then oddly enough, my car does better. So, like,
I mean, how big's your audience?
Look, that's not the point.
I mean, it is the point.
But also,
isn't it? Like, it's just a law of averages.
Audience. Yeah, but it's like a very
but if you're just always posting to the same audience, and these are the things you notice.
Yeah, exactly. We're both posting to the same audience. Yeah, I fully agree. Carter's car is sick, but like I don't know how to say.
I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't have to just like show them the thing. You have to punch them in the fucking face. Like the yellow Cressida back in the day. It wasn't just an X8 that like was cool. It was an X8 that was full aero, wide body, screaming ass yellow paint, 1.5J, 6-speed, staggered wheel. Like it was fucking like a fucking KO of shit. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. I think.
And then it drove, and then it was a drift car. You know, like and it shredded.
There's multiple ways to do things. I don't think there's one right way to do any one thing.
But that means the serial 9 way, so that's why it should be that.
But I'm actually arguing that that's one of the serial 9 ways. That's the Gerard way, and then there's the Kevin way, and then there's like there's like the backdoor Ryan way of like promoting serial 9, and then there's like the Carter way. There's latching on, you know, like. But there are those things, you know, like there's more than one way to go about it. If you had a baseball team and you had a guy that could just hit a home run, great. But you need everybody else to do their job as well. And like looking at it from the perspective of like you're like the Mark McGuire and you fucking hit dingers or something is great. But that's not how a team works. And that's not how the approach works. You need to have a multi-tier approach. You need to
But
be
who's
not
gonna
only
remember the
appeal-
other people? Who's remembering all the other people besides the dope two or
But
three
Mark
guys?
McGuire doesn't win the World Series, man. He needs the whole team.
Yeah.
You got to get runs on.
get-
You got to get runs on base, so when he hits that fucking dinger, it's a grand slam. You know.
Yeah, you lost me, but sure, I think I get what you mean.
It's a team sport, Gerard. You need all the approaches. You're out here trying to hit dingers, and you are, and that's great. But there's other ways to go. Like Kevin's playing shortstop like one mean motherfucker, you know, like, and you need that, you know, and maybe I'm out here just like getting on base with a car, and you need that for when Gerard comes out and fucking hits a dinger, you know?
That's what I mean. It's like the blitz wasn't as crazy if it didn't have the 3 other cars there with it, you know, at Weckfest.
That's true. Yeah, and that's true. Yeah.
And it's like Ryan, you know, Ryan's car is a solid, good infield double. You know, it's not a home run.
Get
it's
you
not a
on
home
base.
run. It's not a home run of a car by any means, you know, but it's definitely good enough. But now with the whole thing, we won the game, you know?
Yeah, we're just getting
But
on
by
base
you by
so
yourself,
that
you would have just hit
points.
one home run and would have lost the game, you know?
Yeah. Sure, you would have got a home run and your batting average would look great, but like you're taking home the W now, you know? That's a different thing. You're appealing to so many different markets, and you still have parts for all of those cars. You still have parts for the 16. You still have parts that work for the Altezza and the Crown and all those things. And you need to be like reminding people that those cars exist. I get what you're doing, and that's what you do, and I would never take that away from you because you need to do what you do for all of this to work. But you also gotta think of the rest of the team. Or not. I don't fucking live your life, Gerard.
I don't know.
I guess that's the end. I think we've reached the natural end of this. Gerard wants to hit home runs. Kevin wants to win the World Series.
Hey man, I'd be stoked to hit a home run.
Fucking, you're doing an in the park home. You know, you're getting to third base. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'll get to second and I'll steal home.
You'll steal third. Yeah, I like that.
And hopefully back again to home.
Hey, here's a question. You've made it to the end of this, and this is probably going to be a long podcast. If you're listening and you think the podcast is too long, do you think the podcast is too long or just right? Let me know. Let me know what you think about the length.
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
What can we do to make this a better experience for you, the listener?
I was told, because it's funny, when we started, people told me to make it longer, and then we made it longer, and now people are like, occasionally they're like, it's a little long. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But now I don't know what to cut out, you know? So.
Well, we should just talk for less time, and then you have less to cut out.
Yeah, but then like that's not as much fun, I feel like, you know? Like we could set a timer. We'd have to cut out a lot of BMW talk. But yeah, again, thanks for everyone who listens to the podcast, asks questions, approaches us at events, brings me beer. Love that. That's fucking the best part.
That is one thing. I was flabbergasted by the amount of people wearing SerialNine gear at Driftcation. That was super awesome. And yeah, just the amount of people coming up and saying that like, they like thought our company was an inspiration, or like the car was, or like, hey, like I watched you on Drift Week, and all this sort of stuff was like, it was really awesome. And, you know, I feel like we really felt the love this weekend. So thank you all the listeners for that.
Okay, bye.
Let's call it, hey, bye everybody. Thanks for being in our life.
Let's call it hey.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.